This is a Night News special investigation.
Hey everyone, Derek Lowe with nightnews.com, and I'm here outside of Knight Library, one of the many bars in the UCF area that were raided just this past weekend. I talked to a lawyer about the bar raids, and he expressed to me how important it is for Knights to know their rights before talking to the police. Tears poured down this 18-year-old's face after she was accused of drinking underage during a bar raid. It's happening time and time again at bars near UCF. NightNews.com sat down with Orlando criminal defense attorney Lyle Mazin, who believes Knights need to know their rights when dealing with the police.
It's important to know your rights so you can avoid being arrested in the first place, and if you are arrested, to give your defense attorney a fighting chance to beat that case.
This student was not arrested.
Okay, you're not going to go to jail, all right? But I'm going to submit an SAR for you.
Thank you.
Okay, you understand what that means?
No.
An SAR is a student referral for the school. That means the school will contact you in about a month, and then you're going to have a hearing in front of them on why you're in a bar under 21 with a fake ID drinking.
The UCF officer tells deputies how instead of sending students to criminal court, UCF often uses its own justice system called the Student Conduct Board, where it's easier to prove the state's case and punish students even more.
They're usually more afraid of the SAR than anything else, because they get in more trouble. Well, they can get their scholarship suspended. They can get their housing taken, kicked out, so you get a lot more trouble. Right. So, that sounds like a better route to make.
Mazin is concerned that the burden of proof in UCF's own court is much lower than in regular court.
It concerns me gravely as an attorney. What also concerns me gravely is that police officers find it funny that they are going to put a student in a horrible situation where they can lose their scholarship, potentially be thrown out of school, and really destroy their future because they were drinking a beer at age 20, 3 months before they turned 21. It's not funny. I don't think it's appropriate to be joked about, and it really disheartens me that I hear that on those body cameras.
Mazin shared tips you should know to protect your rights. Tip number 1, the police are allowed to lie to you.
Absolutely. That is the #1 trick of police officers.
Watch as this officer tells the 18-year-old they won't ask her friend questions if she gets her to come out and walk her home.
You get one of your friends who probably can walk out with you, and we're not going to ask any questions.
Then, watch as cops go ahead and ask her friend questions about whether she's breaking the law.
Okay, you got your fake ID also, or you don't have one at all? Okay, why don't you take her home and then you guys can go home, all right? Do you have your ID with you?
No, I don't.
You don't have any idea how'd you get in?
I'll tell you this hands down. I have never, ever, in my entire experience as a criminal defense attorney, had someone tell the police officers that they've committed a crime and that has helped them out. Ever.
Tip number 2, you have the right to remain silent.
A lot of times if people would just not speak to police officers, and police officers understand this. They understand that you have the right. They're not going to take it personally. If you just don't convey information to police officers, you might actually never have a criminal charge to deal with in the first place.
While you do have the right to remain silent, there are times you do have to identify yourself, and it may be best to cooperate with the police.
If the police officer is asking you for your identification because he believes you're under 21, you cannot give him false information. If he is going to then run your information and you haven't cooperated with him, and he finds out that you were in fact under 21, he's going to arrest you, and then he's going to do a search of your person incident to arrest, and he can absolutely search your wallet once he has the ability to search your person incident to that arrest. So if you try to keep it light and you try to keep it friendly, and let's say you're caught, sometimes you're just caught, and you're required to give over your identification, give your real identification over, and the answer here that I'm going to give you is this. Be smart. Don't have a fake identification sitting behind your real identification. It's just stupid.
However, under certain circumstances, Mazin said you have no obligation to identify yourself at all.
If it's a consensual encounter and the police officers are simply coming by you and asking you to, hey, how you doing? Can we see your identification? You are under absolutely positively no obligation to give your identification.
But how do you know if it's a consensual encounter? Or if you're required to give the police your ID?
You guys have your ID with you? Yes.
That leads us to tip number 3. Find out if you have the right to walk away.
The best way to determine whether or not you have an obligation to give your identification to a police officer is ask that police officer, am I free to leave? If the police officer says to you, you're free to leave, walk away. You're under obligations to do nothing. If the police officer says you're not free to leave, then he's detaining you because he has reasonable suspicion that a crime's afoot.
When cops first started raiding these bars, they said it wasn't to ruin the fun, but to crack down on safety for the students and eliminate things like drunk driving. Our investigation is just beginning, and we're going to try and sit down with the UCF Police Department as well as some local bar owners to hear their side of the story. We'll let you know every detail as it becomes available. For nightnews.com in Orlando, I'm Derek Lowe.